So NBA player Jaden Ivey was just cut, not necessarily for his play, but more so for what he said. Now, depending on who you ask, some say it's justified, and others think it's a serious problem.
So Jaden Ivey is a very religious guy. He's not down with Pride Night.
Christians in the world, I hope you guys are waking up and seeing what's going on. The NBA can wave whatever flag that they want, but the moment he talks about Christ and says anything like that, you know what they actually said? They said he's detrimental to the team.
I'm saying what I feel, and you're telling me to shut up.
Oh. No, I'm just saying you're not going to talk with this jersey on.
Yeah. I didn't have a jersey on.
Jaden Ivey is turning into a test case for one of the worst habits of American Christianity, and that is mistaking backlash for persecution.
You started off the podcast and basically said, hey, listen, I'm going to call you out publicly. Why? Because you represent me and you represent the brand. And I hear that. But this guy represents more than himself. He represents the Chicago Bulls, he represents the NBA, and he represents the overall league. And he's going rogue and basically saying, my beliefs, what I believe is more important than my team, my teammates, the league that I stand for, and the logo.
This isn't just about what he said, but about free speech versus consequences and religion versus inclusion. But before we dive into it, do you boy a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hype this video up, cue the clip.
This that Ramondo reacts, huh? Y'all came in for the laughs, huh?
You did.
Stay for the commentary cause it makes sense, huh?
Real talk.
That boy is good.
See what it was transpiring the last couple days with him and the stuff he was posting. What was your concern level? Because it just, I mean, no one ever knows anybody. We got a brief meeting with him, but he seemed to be spiraling. What did you
spiraling?
see?
Yeah, I had not followed or seen that myself, but obviously Beth had shared with me some of the stuff that was going on, right? And we've been on this road trip. You know, I would just say this, you know, at least since I've been with the Bulls, you know, we've got people from all different backgrounds,
right?
You know, inside the organization. So I think the first thing is how well organized. This goes for players, I think coaches, everybody in that building. It's always been, I think, what's been from the top, like we're all going to work well together. You know, we're all going to basically take care of each other. We're going to accept each other. And I think we're going to be hardworking. We're going to be accountable, and we're going to be respectful, and we're going to be professional. You know, I think that's kind of what it's been. I know some of the things that we put out there. You know, I think it's a situation for him where, you know, it's on his own personal Instagram. I don't want to get into what he put out there, but certainly I hope for him, you know, he's okay. I don't know, you know, like I've had conversations with Jaden and stuff, and he's been always about rehabbing his knee and trying to get back and forth and wanting to play. But I think organizationally, there's certain standards I think we want to have as an organization and try to live up to those each and every day.
So right away, the team sees this as a problem. You don't fit their standards. And that means one thing, you're becoming a liability. And we've seen this before.
Is there any regret that you got into a name-calling situation with the president?
No.
LeBron, you called the president a bum.
Yeah, straight up.
This is what happens when you attempt to leave high school a year early to join the NBA. So keep the political commentary to yourself, or as someone once said, shut up and dribble.
LeBron James has never been just a basketball player, and that's exactly why the shut up and dribble controversy became such a big moment. In 2018, a Fox News host told LeBron to shut up and dribble after he criticized President Trump, suggesting athletes should stay quiet and stick to sports. But LeBron didn't back down. Around that same time, racial slurs were spray painted on the gate of his Los Angeles home, a reminder that no amount of success or fame can protect you from racism. LeBron has consistently spoken out on social injustice, from wearing hoodies in support of Trayvon Martin to calling out police brutality and systemic racism. The fact of the matter is, he's never stayed silent when he felt something was wrong. So getting into a public back and forth with President Trump wasn't something that's unheard of from LeBron James. Love him or hate him, LeBron showed he wasn't going to shut up, and he definitely wasn't going to just dribble.
Like it's that idea right there, stay in your lane, that's always been in sports, where they want you to be seen and not heard, unless you're hyping them up. See what I did though? But here's where it gets tricky, because it's not just about speaking, it's about what you say. We saw it with Kyrie. Comments were made, people said it crossed the line, and there were consequences. And look, every action has consequences. No ifs and buts about it. But let's not jump to conclusions just yet, because before we decide if this was justified, let's see what he said exactly.
That the world can proclaim LGBTQ, right? They proclaim Pride Month and the NBA. They proclaim it. They show it to the world. They say, come join us for Pride Month, to celebrate unrighteousness. They proclaim it. They proclaim it on the billboards. They proclaim it in the streets. Unrighteousness.
So from Jaden's perspective, he doesn't believe in what the league's promoting. But the question is, how's that viewed within the league?
But the first order of business is minding your own. The second order of business is protecting your own. And not doing stuff that's going to get in your own way just because you wanted to express yourself on IG. You got a future to think about, my brother. And you just put it in jeopardy because you wanted to express yourself for 42 minutes on IG Live. Where that gonna get you? Is that worth your career? That's all I'm saying.
So what I got from that is, when money speaks, your morals go on mute. But I guess that's the biggest issue. But the truth is, he's choosing to be in the league. He's choosing to use their platform. He's choosing to cash those checks. So in that trade-off, you got to play by their rules. Now let's make things interesting and compare these two situations.
You can almost hear people saying, oh, but what about Colin Kaepernick? And I think there's two big points to be made. One, to your point, he didn't do this on the job. Kaepernick made his political statement on the job, to which the NFL said, not on the job.
Right.
The NBA does have a right, the Chicago Bulls do have a right not to employ someone for whatever reason they want. It's an at-will employment issue. But I'm fascinated by the point of view of the Bulls here, because all he said is it's unrighteous, right? That is an opinion held by basically every major world religion.
Yep.
He didn't say anything hateful. He didn't say anything else. He just said unrighteous, which again, it's just the commonly held opinion of almost every major religion in the world. And the Chicago Bulls said, well, that's not for us. That's radical.
So Kaepernick did his protesting on the field. Ivey did his off the court, but they both faced consequences. So where do you draw the line in the sand? Are you constantly representing the league or just on the job? Now this right here is where it gets messy.
That's where many don't know the real Jesus. That's why you got Steph Curry and he not even surrendered, and y'all believe he's a Christian. Y'all believe he's a Christian because he wrote Philippians 4:13. Y'all think he's a Christian. But he cursing just like the world.
Look, nobody's perfect. We all have a past. And sports in general brings out emotion plus intensity. And Steph isn't excluded. But that doesn't mean he's not trying to be the best version of himself through his faith. And Steph wasn't the only player he took a shot at.
Anthony Edwards had said some derogatory thing to some male. He called them the F word, portraying that person was gay, basically. He said those things, right? And they fined him for it. He got fined. He didn't get kicked out the league. He didn't get waived, right? But it's because he's the best player on their team, right? They need him, right? Because he's the best player. He makes them money. I'm injured and I'm speaking the truth, but they let things slide and they fined Anthony Edwards for a situation like that, but they didn't waive him. It's all money involved into that. They're not gonna waive him. He's making the Timberwolves money. Everyone goes to pay to watch Anthony Edwards. If they didn't have Anthony Edwards, no one will watch the Timberwolves.
So now I feel like this is where he's overstepping his beliefs and going into critiquing players. But you do have to understand the value that they bring to the organization, and it's different from being a star player in which they are versus a role player in which he is. But I don't think people should ignore the fact that he's more than a basketball player. He's still a person.
I think as a child, I just never felt love before. I never, felt what true love felt like. And as I grew up, there were some, traumas that I went through that I don't really, explain to people. But I definitely was sexually abused as a kid. There were some things that I, saw, that I don't really even talk about, but I know there was, a seed that Satan tried to, use at an early age. And, that was tough, obviously, growing up. But as I grew up, I just tried to, seek the wrong things. Even in high school, I, tried, sleeping with women, to fulfill a certain void in my heart that, as I continued to, just grow as a man, I was trying to fill a void.
It's hard for me not to feel sympathetic for him after hearing that, knowing everything that he's dealt with, and you hope that he's able to cope with those traumas. You hope that he has a strong enough team to prevent things like this from happening so that he doesn't lose future opportunities. Now, I don't know whether he's coming back to the league. I doubt it, but if basketball is what he wants to do, there are opportunities out there for him, not as lucrative that we know of, but there are opportunities out there to play overseas, and I'm pretty sure he'll pursue that if that's what he wants to do. So what is it really? Accountability or selective consequences? Because if the rules change depending on who you are, then what do you need rules for? But until next time, if you enjoy the content, hit that subscribe button to the right and to the left, more dope content. Until next time, I'm out.
This that Ramondo reacts, huh? Y'all came in for the laughs, huh? You did. Stay for the commentary cause it makes sense, huh? Real talk.
That boy is good.